afternoon to you, our viewers. Thank you for joining us here on Riverside TV. Thank you for joining another episode of Doctor's Call. We had started a series on mental health. We had talked about depression, and today we're going to talk about anxiety. Our main focus today is social anxiety, but stay tuned. We shall talk about anxiety at length at a later episode. And today I'm joined by our resident.
Wow, right. Thank you, Gladys.
Karibu sana,
I'm
Yvonne.
still Yvonne, and I love it about mental health and literacy a lot. And it's always a pleasure to actually have our viewers learn more about mental health. And yeah, let's get on with it.
Okay, Yvonne, today we've decided to talk about social anxiety.
Yes.
So, what is social anxiety?
For starters, I will start with anxiety is the main name in it.
Yeah.
The main. And social anxiety is just a branch in per types of anxiety. And the reason why we talk about social anxiety is because it affects us a lot in a lot of ways. Anxiety is actually excessive worriness over something or a situation. And you find that it's when we talk about mental health, of course, people can worry.
Yeah.
It is normal to worry. I worry every time sometimes. For a job interview,
Yeah.
you worry whether there'll be traffic. There are those normal worries. But the reason why we actually quantify them to be mental health illnesses is because they come up and they actually inhibit your productivity in life, affect your social life, and affect what you do.
Yeah.
So as long as it affects you as a person, and that's when we call it a mental health illness, is social anxiety.
Now, Yvonne, you've said something about it affecting me. So, assuming I was going for a job interview, I'd be anxious. It's still affecting me. So, how will I differentiate?
So, in a later, as we go on, we'll discuss how actually it affects a person. But you find that in mental health, let me take you back to our initial talks about mental health. You find that a person who has social anxiety is unable to participate in social events. And this, when you're able to participate in social events, because you are scared of what they will think about you, they will look at you, and you are unable to even express yourself.
Yeah.
So if you have an issue, for example, with you're going for an interview, you're feeling nervous, it is normal to be nervous.
Yeah.
It is very normal. But what we have to understand is that you have to train yourself to be talking in front of people, to be able to express yourself. Right now, we are able to talk because as much as I'm sure the first time you are on camera, you forgot all your lines,
True.
even your name probably.
Yeah.
But now that you've been doing this for some time, it almost becomes out naturally.
Yeah.
There are people who can't get a job because they go to an interview room and they just tremble. They sweat. To a point, even the interviewer has to tell you, can you kindly take a breath and answer the question? I've seen that happen. And you find the person now when the interviewer tells you take a break, that is the end. They get just a mind block.
Yeah.
So such a person should actually seek help because if they might be very qualified, but they're able to express themselves.
I think we've mentioned a few of the signs. So what are the other signs and symptoms?
All right. So signs and symptoms is one. Of course, someone might get sweaty.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone might have some bit of trembling. Sometimes someone might have issues with pronunciation of words, maybe stammering. Of course, eye contact will not even be there. The person may not be able to stand or sit still, might want to fidget with other things. Those are signs of anxiety. At times, people may actually find that now in the body, your heart might be racing. You feel that your throat is actually dry. Some people feel butterflies. The stomach is growling. It's a very, unfortunately for anxiety, at least we know we have the symptoms, we can see them, unlike depression.
Sure, yeah.
So this one actually present more as physical symptoms.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's easier to tell.
It's
that
easier
this
to
person
it's
has.
easier to tell someone is anxious. It's
Okay.
very, very easy.
So, assuming I have anxiety,
Yes.
how does it then affect my day-to-day life?
Right. So let's start with common scenarios. Huh?
Mm.
And the scenario I want us to do today is, for example, we have a classwork and we have a group meeting.
Yeah.
So you find that we say, like today, Gladys, we are in this office and would like you to close this meeting with a word of prayer.
Mm.
So everybody will focus on Gladys.
Yeah.
So the focus will go on you. Everybody will be looking at you.
Yeah.
So the stares will eat you up.
Yeah.
You will not be able to actually even say the word of prayer if you have the anxiety disorder.
Mm.
After that, you find that since you failed in that meeting to even to say give a vote of thanks, this person will end up thinking that they are not fit to be in that social scene. So they will they'll at most of the time avoid being in that environment.
Yeah.
And that one does not help at all.
Yeah.
Because they don't want, the people say you're picking up on me. No, they're not picking up on you. They are trying to push you to know how to express yourself and be confident.
Mm-hmm.
And also increase your esteem. So you find that when the person decides not to be going to those meetings now, of course, if you're working here, they'll tell you when to attend your office meetings. You have absconded office meetings. They are part of your job description.
Yeah.
So you of course have issues now with your bosses. In a scenario whereby you're talking about give a vote of thanks, if it was a community thing, you will avoid those community things. And what has happened in community things, when you avoid them, I always say, human beings are social. And as human beings are social beings, we like being around people, we interact with people, we engage with people. It's a normal thing for human beings.
Yeah.
So now you've secluded yourself from the social events. You isolate yourself. Unfortunately, when you isolate yourself, you even feel guilty that you don't even attend them. Because let me tell you, people will call you, hey Gladys, we were in this meeting, you want to attend?
So, and they explain everything that happened.
Now everything starts coming back to you. You don't feel good enough. You cannot do this thing. So it takes a toll on your life now as a person.
Yeah.
And friends are calling you, makes it even worse.
Yeah.
So what's that? We start with isolation. We go to guilt.
Mm-hmm.
After guilt, you can even slip into a depression. The cascade of the events is not a good one.
It's just a whole cycle.
And actually, you find that your social skills get lost.
Yeah.
There's a time I'd say, I'm not about social anxiety. You find that when you go in front of people, you're unable to express yourself. Like now, the cameras. It's taken a while, but I'm happy that I can.
Yeah.
Even the lights. You'd be standing like, tell us something about yourself. You look at the cameras, zip.
You just go blank.
There's nothing you can do.
Mm.
So what happens is we have to try and tell people it is okay to be anxious.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, if you don't work on the anxiety, there's an extreme one where you can't even, some people even collapse. You get dizzy and collapse, then people are like, what happened? It was just an interview.
Yeah.
Yes. And people have seen people who sit at the front are more confident, people at the back are less confident. I don't know about that story, but I love it in front because I like listening to the teacher more.
Yeah, but it's true. It's true because when you sit at the front, you're more likely to be called upon
And ask a question and lack words.
Yeah.
Another thing people have is the fear of being wrong. So when you find that in a lot of places, there's people laugh, people jeer, people are bullies everywhere. People don't care. We lack compassion in our societies to accept. So I always speak about compassion too. So you find that as a person, your social skills are gone, your self-esteem is gone, your mental health is on a trolley sinking. Definitely you can't be productive. You can't be called, you can't even if you apply for a job, you want to go for interview, because you can't go. You're qualified, but you can't go.
Yeah.
So it affects even you economically and also affects also the people around you.
So you've talked about something to do with being kind to people with them. So do you think social media has a lot of bullying and nobody cares who you are or what you're going through? Does it contribute to anxiety?
Now let me tell you. The human beings are social beings. I mean social media but not active. If you want to avoid things like social media bullying, if you can avoid social media, if you can. If you cannot handle it.
Now we're talking, it's 2021.
It's
and this
2021,
generation
yes.
and social
Yes.
media, practically they live on social media.
They live on social media, yes. People post their intimate life details there, have a thick skin. Trust me, they do have a very thick skin.
True.
They have been trolled, trashed, and they are okay with it. Kudos for them.
That's true.
Unfortunately, on social media, people can bully you. You go about bullies. I'm sure we'll have a session on bullying and how people can handle bullying. Bullying starts from when you are young in the household, when you go to school, when you go to work. You can even be bullied in churches and other organizations. So you find that if you're anxious, social media and bullying, if you get bullied, you'll have just to find a comfort place. I talk about support system.
Yeah.
Definitely. So you find that the bullying will always continue. People are always cowards. If someone wants to call you out your name, they should just be there noting us. So don't even call out your name and give a reason. Now people think things and people try to be perfect behind.
And that's the thing.
scenes.
Social media portrays a picture that you have. If you have something wrong with you, then you are the problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of nerves, but we are happy that people are catching up and people are trying to be compassionate. People actually, I know of a friend of mine, she's online. Trust me, she is a bully, but she bullies the bullies. So if you pick on a person and she sees that, she'll malize you. That's how like
That's a nice way.
She does it, so we don't interfere with her.
Yeah.
We know. Yes.
Dear viewers, we're going for a very short break. We'll be right back. Remember, you can follow this conversation on our Facebook page and the YouTube page, Riverside TV Kenya. You can also send in your comments, your feedback on the SMS line below. Thank you.
Oh, I just need my one-on-one time with you. I might be selfish, but I just can't. My God.
Music that uplifts your soul, that makes you wanna dance and worship your living God. That comes to you on every Friday, 9:30 to 10:30 p.m. Worship and cut.
Welcome back, viewers. Remember, we were talking about social anxiety. You can send in your comments, your feedback, even your questions, and Yvonne will answer them. Yvonne, before we went for a short break, we talked about how it affects our lives. So let us now talk about the risk factors when it comes to social anxiety.
Well, risk factors. Let's start with the basic things. Your environment. Your environment builds or breaks you.
Yeah.
When you are a young child, if you are used to shouting, violent in neighborhood or family, homestead, you find that you will cower down, like you will be scared. If you go in school and you get encouragement, you do better. If the school is also a difficult place, if you get bullied, environment.
Yeah.
If you go, you can actually be a very confident person in class, but then you go somewhere else for a work, project or something, and you have terrible bosses. You will be anxious. Every time you hear the name boss, you start wondering, what is it? I've seen that people actually, when they go to the office with their bosses, they're like, what have they been calling for?
Yeah.
They are unable to, they are just nervous because they know it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
So environment is actually a major contributor factor
Mm.
to the social anxiety thing.
Yeah.
The other, of course, they normally say genetics,
Mhm.
but you see, with genetics can always play around because we can mold you. They can decide what person you can be.
Yeah.
It could be there, but we'll always try.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Are there coping mechanisms in when dealing with social anxiety?
Now that I talk about coping mechanisms, I've just remembered something else. You know, at the time I talked about when someone has been affected, they isolate themselves.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, people who undergo social anxiety, they develop bad, let me say bad, coping mechanisms like abusing of alcohol or even drugs
Yeah.
to try to cater for that anxiety. Because you see, the moment you are not anxious, these people take alcohol to feel courageous.
Yeah.
So or even take the drugs
Yeah.
and they get high and they can talk. But these are not good. So we have basic things that we've been taught normally in classes and in forums.
Yeah.
There's the breathing exercise.
Mhm.
So breathing exercise is a very interesting one. And this one you can try even without telling other people.
Yeah.
You see, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
So when you feel like you're becoming a bit anxious, you can start with this thing. So you breathe through your nostrils. And we'll start with Gladys.
Yeah.
So Gladys, you breathe through. Okay, let's give 1, 2, 5. Breathe through your nostrils for 4 seconds.
Mhm.
Stay for a while, like 4 more seconds.
Mhm.
Then exhale slowly.
Mhm.
Now do it again.
You breathe in for 4 seconds.
No, you breathe in 4 seconds
Mhm.
into your nostrils.
Then
Through your
you
nostrils.
hold it.
Hold it for at least 4 seconds.
Then breathe
And then
out.
you breathe out slowly for at least 15 seconds.
Okay.
And it's you today.
Okay. For 4 seconds, you'll count.
Yes, I'll do the counting. Always supposed to do yourself the part, but it's fine.
Okay. The breathing out part is a bit hard.
Okay, well, that's the thing about it. These things you practice and
Yeah.
you learn. So breathing exercises actually do help.
Mhm.
And you see, it's just breathing. There's nothing else you're doing. You're just
Yeah.
breathing. It's a normal thing that you do.
So when you say breathing, I think someone would ask, do I breathing when I'm already in this situation, or is it something that I can practice later on during my free time?
So what happens is a breathing exercise you can practice at any time so that you can master it. Because we have, you see, like you have an interview, you'll get nervous, maybe someone has come out crying and you're like, what is going on inside that room?
Yeah.
So when you're outside there, you can practice the breathing exercises such that by the time you walk in that door, your anxiety has faded off. It has gone away.
Yeah.
And of course, most of the time, nowadays when you go for these interviews, even the panel gives you a better environment to work in. But it depends on where you land.
Sure.
So the other one, of course, you have the hand clenching. You normally hold your fists, hold them and you breathe. So very interesting. They're very easy things you can do without people even noticing what you're doing. You can even hold your hands and release as you breathe.
Yeah.
Point is, the moment you do the breathing, actually it slows your heart rate. Remember the thing about your heart rate goes high.
Yeah.
You're feeling dizzy, you're feeling, you're sweating, you're trembling. When you do these exercises, actually they go away. These are coping mechanisms. You know, you're in a situation in a public place and you know that you get a bit of anxiety, you can do these things. They are positive coping mechanisms. And it's like an emergency, but of course we have the management.
Yeah. Now we've talked about this coping, but we have not talked about the treatment.
Not yet.
Yeah. So what is the treatment?
Alright, like any other mental health condition, it has to be diagnosed by a mental health specialist or healthcare provider, and then you get the diagnosis. Remember, we had several types of anxiety we'll talk about later,
Yeah.
but for this one, you have to know. If you are told it's the social anxiety, you just explain when I'm in this situation, I feel like this. The person will be able to connect and reconnect and ask more questions and also do some assessments for you.
Yeah.
So after that, then you find that the first treatment is called cognitive behavior therapy, CBT. It's a very big name, but it's very simplified. It is about managing your thoughts. You don't get better in one day, or 2 days or 2 weeks. It becomes like a habit. You talk about mental health, you see, the treatment takes time. So it depends on the severity and the type and how you're reacting to the therapy. So it helps. So you're taught on how with your thoughts. You see, they say when you feel nervous, what is you're seeing, they'll be able to advise you on how can you change that thought. Because let me tell you, mental health is one of those things I tell people. It is in your mind. You here, you cannot see what I'm thinking. I don't know what is going through you. It's in your mind. So with the cognitive behavior therapy, a person gets guided on how to manage their thoughts. And it actually works. The other one, if we have to look at some anxieties that are just bad, such that they're severe, someone has to be put on medicine. And of course, the usual, we have selective serotonin uptake inhibitors. So these ones are given, are prescribed, and for some duration. Because when you say if it impairs your functionality as a human being, that means you need help. It's a disease. You need to get treated. You need to be treated so that you can be able to continue living. Because by the end of the day, we all need to live. And our life doesn't stop where you have mental illness. It doesn't stop. It continues. There'll be schoolwork. There'll be bills. There'll be marriage. There'll be events. There'll be projects. Life doesn't stop. So you get the treatment so that you can move in your life.
Yes, well, even there's this social trait where we say people are introverts, others are extroverts. So is there a relation between being an introvert and having social anxiety?
Well, an introvert is an introvert, although they say times they change, but they usually change. Social anxiety can make you to be an introvert mentally, but not who you were. Remember last time we talked about, I thought I was an introvert until I said it's depression. Like, Allah. Because you see, you isolate, you withdraw, you're comfortable in your space, you're going through your own things. And then when something comes up, you're like, you don't want to do it. And you're like, you realize, something is amiss because I notice, there's a difference. An introvert will always be an introvert, an extrovert will always be an extrovert, but they can go through things. But doesn't mean that all introverts have social anxiety.
So there's no relation.
There's no relation. They are comfortable in their space.
Okay.
Yes.
So how should the support system of a person suffering from social anxiety be like?
Right. This is the best thing. We talk about social support. People will not even understand what social support is. Social support will be you, my friend. So social support will be your workmate. It can be your counselor. It can be a sibling, it can be your spouse, it can be your parent, it can be your community member, it can be anyone who you confide in. And this is the person talk about disclosure. The person knows you go through these things. Even a teacher for the students. It can be anybody who you confide in and the person accepts and is willing to help you through. The way they actually do help is very nice. One thing, they keep tabs on you. And when they keep tabs on you, they don't say they are stalking you. They're always checking out on you. Like sometimes when I withdraw my normal babies, some people are like, hey, God, where have you been? I'm like, somewhere. I'll see you soon. Because I know, I've been missing. Your friends even know. So they will definitely call you up. It's a good support system. Another thing you find that when you're going through the anxiety and maybe you went somewhere you are embarrassed, for the ladies, it's normally very hard. You see, let me say, if you stain the dress, I tell you just crash it. So you So you find that you get people who can support you, don't worry, it can happen. Especially for the adolescents, when they're going to high school and all that. It's like a very tricky stage. But you find that they help you in the process. They assure you. And when you go through something, you can call up to them. And you see, for them to understand you're going through something and they'll be able to be there for you. So the other thing that actually helps with social anxiety is your support system does not shun you away from the social events. They are the ones who tell you, Gladys, today we are going to do this and this. You don't want to go, they tell you, we are with you. They will hold your hand. You go to an event when you have something big, but like you're going to say, we're going to do a vote of thanks, or going to have an activity. I will introduce Gladys, my friend. And Gladys, as much as you're nervous, you don't say anything, just say hi, just say hi. No, it's a first step.
Yeah.
With mental health, we always do a first step, a second step until you're better now. So, of course, they check on you, they support you, they listen to you, and they're there for you. Because by the end of the day, you all need someone to, you don't be needy, but you need someone who will actually be there for you.
Yes. So, what are some of the tips to handle social anxiety?
One is to understand that, okay, there's a part, of course, you educate yourself.
Yes.
The part of education is knowing this thing is not something that should be happening every time. It's something that can be managed. I can beat this, I can like the present on the TV, I can do so many things. So the tips is, one, you have to understand what you're going through. Two, you're going to have the coping mechanisms in place. Three, you're supposed to have a social system. And if at all need be, if at all you have to be through on therapy, you're supposed to manage it. You're supposed to be on therapy and follow it.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. That is educating yourself on the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our viewers, we have tackled social anxiety. Though there are different types of anxiety that we're going to talk about in our next episode. Be sure to stay tuned. Also, you can send in your feedback, your SMSs, any question, and Yvonne will be able to answer during our next episode. Until next time, I have been your host, Gladys Mungua.